to get started, we're going to talk about advertising, obviously, in this great age of integration, where everything's interconnected, okay? And we are at the point where people not only expect things to be integrated, people not only expect you to deliver the message that they want in the method that they want it delivered, they demand it. And if you're not doing that, you're going to miss out. We're going to talk about a couple things today to help make that a reality, okay? And the idea is we're going to talk about ads that work, okay? Responsible for marketing or advertising at your company? Anybody? Who has to answer to someone about that? Probably all of us as well, okay? Has anyone ever put together a marketing campaign or an ad that didn't work? Okay. I think if we're honest, probably most of us have. Even the big guys have trouble occasionally. Who's put together campaigns that were just a rousing success? Good. Who here is somewhere in the middle? Yeah, they kind of work, or they work sometimes. I'm not really sure if they work. I think they're working. Could they be better? That's where most of us live. Every once in a while, you're going to do something and it's going to fall flat. Other times, you're going to do something and it's going to be a big hit. The idea is let's learn from both so that we take that middle up as high as we can. Okay, so to get started, me, a local guy, I live in Hempfield with my family. I have 3 children. I have a 25-year-old. I have twins that are 11. I have 3 dogs. Just picked up my 3rd rescue dog this week. I never stood a chance. Yes, we have Norman. Okay, and we were supposed to just take it in to help out a couple that we know. The gentleman's going through chemo treatments. He's having a rough run, so we brought it in. They're asking if we'll keep it. And I have 2 11-year-olds. What do you think the odds are that I'm not keeping this dog? Just like the other 2. We'll keep it for a little while. We'll see what happens. Yeah, good luck. My background is about 30 years in marketing. I have about 18, 19 years in hotels and hospitality. I own a little insurance business, and I lead the business development and marketing teams at EZMarketing. I've been there about 4 years. EZMarketing, just a little bit of background on us. We're a division of EZSolution. EZSolution is a company started about 20 years ago here in Lancaster. Local gentleman by the name of Tom Malesic started the business, literally knocking on doors, selling websites door to door 20 years ago. Okay? I joined the team, and in fact, most of us joined the team about 4 years ago when he was going from a website development company into a full-service marketing agency where we handle all aspects of marketing. Okay? EZSolution is a parent company. We have 2 divisions, EZMarketing, EZ Computer Solutions. One of the things we're going to talk about today is what makes you unique. Why someone should do business with you when they can do business with anyone else who does what you do. What we talk about and what we offer, what we bring to the table is, number 1, we handle all aspects of marketing. So whether you're looking for strategy, whether you're looking for websites, whether you're looking for digital advertising, Paperclip, we handle it, and we also work with a team concept. Nothing against other agencies here in Lancaster, there's a lot of good ones. But very few, or in fact none, can do what we do, where we have a web development team, an SEO team, a strategy team, a team of back of the house people, the geeky people that do stuff I have no idea what they're doing but works. So we bring that all together and work collaboratively to put out better products. Okay? That's the only pitch today. All right? Now, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what it means to advertise today. Would we all agree? Advertising, marketing, promotions are a little different today than they were 10 years ago. How many of us have been around in this business 10 years? How about 20 years ago? How much different is that? A few of us. How about just 5 years ago? Are things different today than 5 years ago? How about 2 years ago? How about a year from now? Okay. The idea is it's ever-changing. If you were an expert 6 months ago, you may not be an expert today because it continues to evolve. We need to continue to evolve with it, and we need to continue to get better and better, or we'll fall behind. So we're going to talk about what it means to advertise today. We're going to talk about ways to create an effective ad, And we're going to talk about the types of advertising that are right for your business. Now, we won't drill down to specifically, if I'm doing a campaign this summer and my market is this, this, and this, we won't go that deep. I will say that after the seminar, if anyone would like to meet with me or any members of my team and get into more specifics, more finite, we're happy to do that. Just ask, put it on your survey, and we'll follow up with you, okay? Sorry, I do get pretty dry when I start talking. So, welcome. We're in the age of integration. Like it, don't like it, agree with it, hate it, it's here, okay? Right now, today, too, the world is hyper-connected, okay? Users are multi-platform, multi-channel, multi-device, and they expect us to reach them in all the various platforms that they use. Has anyone ever seen someone, and maybe you live this life too, where, and this is me at night, I'm on the couch, I'm an exciting guy, I'm on the couch, I'm reading the paper, I'm looking at my Facebook page while I'm watching the news on TV. Does anyone live with that ever? Does anyone in here ever do that? Okay. Are there other avenues too that you do outside of that? Who looks at news right now from the newspaper every day? A few of us. So, you know, we're not the youngest people in the room that do that. The most mature, the most experienced, seasoned. Okay. Who looks at TV to get their news? Not as many. Todd, I know it.
I do.
Yeah. Who has an app or looks at it online? A lot of us. And how about all of the above, like me? I like the paper and I like to read it because then I can take in as much or as little as I want on any given subject, rather than the news is just telling me what I need to hear. Okay? Right now, again, people expect you to deliver it in ways that they want to get it, and they expect the message to be clear, and they expect the message to speak to them specifically, okay? Now, in order for this to work, your marketing has to be as integrated as your customers. What I mean by that is, everything has to work together, everything has to carry the same message, and everything has to have the same consistency regardless of channel. There can be no silos, okay? I'll also say this. If you're only using one channel, how does that affect the people that you reach? Example. If you're only advertising in the newspaper, right, there's roughly 20 people in the room. Who did you reach? 3 of us. Because there's 3 or 4, maybe 4 of us that read the paper every day. If you're only advertising on TV, who did you reach? Todd. Todd could be a very good customer, okay? If you're advertising on social media or an app, who do you stand to reach? Most of us. But the key is you can't just do one channel. It can't be a silo, it can't be one message, and you don't want to get into where you're sending too many different messages to too many different channels. The message has to be consistent. And we talked about that before in other seminars, where we talked about the method is unique, meaning how you deliver it is unique, but the message has to be consistent. And we'll talk more about that as we go. One of the things too, people expect there to be targeting in their advertising. When something comes to them, they want to make sure that it's relevant to them. And if it's not, what happens? People get mad. Why would you send me that? I have no interest in that. Whereas years ago, it was all about let's broadcast it to the world, and it'll stick to some people. Now, first off, let's start with just taking a look at the marketing process. One thing that we advise everyone against all the time is this, and maybe we've all been guilty of it. Don't be guilty of a tactic dump. Does anyone have any idea what I mean by that? If you've been to other seminars, you've seen this before. What I mean by that is this. You're charged with marketing or advertising for your company. Your job is to make things happen. Business is starting to slip, or business is stale, or you've got something big coming on, and what is your boss going to tell you? What are you doing? Let's get something going. We've got to advertise. We've got to market this. We have to get it out there. And lo and behold, who comes along? Who comes knocking on that door the same day? The TV guy, the radio guy, the billboard guy, someone from a local magazine. And you say, oh my gosh, I'm glad you came. I need to do something. And what are they going to tell you? Yeah, I am so glad I came here today. You are going to love me. I'm going to solve your problem. Because if you want to reach people, you've got to be on television. You know what television does? If you want to reach people, you've got to be on the radio. Do you have any idea what an Arbitron rating is? Neither do I, neither do they. Right? Okay? But if you want to be successful, you better be in the newspaper. And here's the question. Is that right for you? Maybe. But what do you need to do first? First, you better make sure that you've got the right message. You're going to deliver it to the right audience. And you're going to deliver it in a manner in which the right audience can see that message. If you don't do those three things, there's a disconnect, and you spend money that you probably shouldn't have on advertising or marketing. Too many businesses jump right into doing something. They feel like they have to do something, they jump in, they've got to do it, and here they are. What we're going to tell you is, don't do it until you do a couple other things first. Is it the right way to go? Maybe. But it's got to be the right story to the right people at the right time. Now, when we talk about holding up, we're going to say that there are certain things you need to do in order to be successful. And we have a marketing process that we follow and recommend. Okay? Does this guarantee success? No. But does it increase your odds of success? Yes, exponentially. And the steps are this, and we're not going to go into deep detail on this. We can, again, if you'd like more detail, we can meet at another time. But the steps are discovery. Before you get started, sit down and think about your business. Think about your story. Think about what it is that you bring to the table. Think about what sets you apart from everyone else. Think about how what you do can solve problems for people. How does it make their life better, easier, more rewarding? Better for their wallet, okay? Then you have to ask yourself, who is my target customer? Who is my message going to affect the most? Who is what I do going to help? And the idea is this. If we ask most people who their target customer is, what do you think they're going to tell us? Everybody. Anybody with money in their pocket. There may be a little bit of truth in that. But when we talk about the ideal customer, we're talking about the people that keep you up at night because you're thinking, if I could just get a few more of these people in the business every day, life would be great. So discovery. Understand your business universe. Understand your clients. Understand what their needs are. Next step would be ideation. You take all this knowledge and you put it into your message. How does this work? What am I going to say? What is my story that I'm going to tell? And who am I going to tell this story to? We talk about creating a brand profile in ideation. We talk about creating your USP. What sets you apart from everyone else? Putting down on paper why someone should buy from you versus anyone else. Ideation answers these three questions. Who are you? Why should I care? What do we want people to do? Okay. Next step, strategy. Okay, here's my message. This is what I bring to the table. This is how I'm better than other people, or how I do things better, faster, more efficiently, more cost effective. This is who I can benefit. Now the strategy is, what's the best way for me to get that message to these people? Then, after all that, you determine, all right, my ideal client is an 18-year-old male who likes the outdoors and wants to drive a truck. Ballpark, how would we reach an 18-year-old male nowadays? Anybody? Social media. You going to get him in the newspaper? I doubt it. You going to get him in a billboard? Maybe. The idea is understand your market and what makes him tick. After that, then go to tactics. So again, is the radio guy a bad guy? Is the TV guy a bad guy? Are people from Susquehanna Style Magazine trying to rip you off? No. But it might not be the best way for you to market or advertise. So what we're saying is do your homework first. Before you get into tactics, make sure you're doing your homework and doing these 3 things first. If you're not going to do those things, don't do it. Because all you're doing is a crapshoot at that. And the people will tell you, oh, don't worry, I'll throw an ad together for you. Oh, I'll put something together, it's going to look nice. It's not just about looking nice. It's about telling the right story to the right audience and making sure that that medium is the best way to deliver it. After tactics analysis. If you can't tell what it did, I'm going to tell you again, be careful about doing it. Does anyone have to answer for their decisions, for their initiatives, for their campaigns, for their advertising? Do you have a good method in place to track that? Or are you asking your boss to just trust you that it's the right thing to do? Sir?
When orders come in, or we have everybody ask, where did you hear about us?
Right.
What brought you here? So we keep a spreadsheet.
Did everybody hear that? One of the easiest, best, most well-known, been around forever. How'd you hear about us? Is it official? You get an idea for it. There's other ways to track, but I'd say that's a great way to track that. One thing you have to be careful of, though, make sure everybody in your company is on the same page. I have no doubt if they call you, you're going to ask that question. Probably a couple of your key people are going to ask that question. It can slip by the wayside. Other ways to, and we're going to get into other ways to track, but yeah, that's age-old and good old-fashioned. How'd you hear about us? Yeah, thanks for calling. How'd you hear about us? I'm getting a little bit too loud. So I'm glad they didn't come in and give me a hard time. So make sure you're tracking everything, analysis. And after that, we talk about adaptation. Advertising, marketing, promotion. This is not something you do once, stand back and wait for all your successes. You have to do it all the time. Think of it like going to the gym, all right? I found out it's not enough to just join the gym. You've actually got to go there. Then you got to go there and they expect you to do stuff on the machine. And then you can't do that once or twice. You've got to do it all the time. And when you get away from that and you start eating donuts every day, you look like this, okay? So it can't be something done once in a while. It can't be something in a silo. It can't be something in a vacuum. You have to do it all the time, and you have to track it. Last thing I'll say on this, tracking isn't enough. There are lots of people that can gather data. There's lots of people that can look at statistics. The important thing is what to do with that data. What did you learn when you collected the data? What are you going to do with the information that you brought in? That's where you have to have a whole other strategy session to make sure you're doing it wisely, time and time again, and you're learning from mistakes and building on things that are working for you. So let's talk for a minute about creating an effective ad. Before we get started, oftentimes we hear people say or confuse advertising with marketing. If you talk, again, you talk to billboard people, you talk to magazine people, radio people, even some digital people. They just think that advertising is all you do. Advertising is just marketing, okay? Advertising is a part of marketing. Advertising is an important part of marketing, but in order to get the most out of your advertising, you can't forget all the other aspects that go into marketing, okay? Who's seen this before, the peso model? If you've been to some of our other seminars, you may see this, you may remember it. We use peso to help us just keep track and understand and remember the different ways that people market. When we talk about advertising, we're going to talk about the P in peso. This is your advertising, it's banner ads, it's pay-per-click, it's sponsored posts, things that you control and things that you pay for. But don't forget, you also need to make sure that you're doing public relations, you're doing blogger outreach, you're doing some influencer marketing, you're getting reviews. Don't forget you've got to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. You've got to be creating good content along with everything you're doing. And make sure that you're paying attention to your own media, your website, your own blog posts, all your content in your email. Again, nothing should live in a silo. Nothing should live in a vacuum. Make sure you're paying attention to all the aspects of marketing, not just one. One other thing too. We talked about doing your homework ahead of time. Make sure when you advertise, you have something to advertise. Make sure you have a good message. Make sure you have a clear message. Make sure you have a goal in mind when you're doing it. Don't just buy into the old, well, we'll just throw an ad out there. Okay? Make sure it has a reason. It has to be a meaningful message. It has to tell the right story to people, and they have to care about the story. History of ads. Ads have changed over the years. Okay? You go back to when I was in high school in the 1700s, it was about just a product. And there weren't a whole lot of boot makers in town. There weren't a whole lot of soap makers in town. So when you advertised, you said boots, or soap, or livery service. And just by doing that, you let people know who you are and what you did, and that was enough. As things evolved, if we go to the 1890s, then you start getting into, or the 1890s, you start getting into brands. That's when Ivory soap started coming on the market. They were one of the pioneers of building a brand. It wasn't enough to just have soap. You got to have Ivory soap. If you don't have Ivory soap, you're going to smell bad. All right? And Ivory soap, who remembers this? It floats. Now that doesn't mean we were there in the 1890s. All right? It just means that lasted a long time. It went into the 1920s, 1930s, and others, but it lasted a long time. Now today, what's today? It's not just about the product. It's not just about the brand. It's about who? The customer. It's customer focused. Here's an ad for Red Bull Stratus. And what are they showing? Somebody bungee jumping from space. Is that what it's all about? No, but it's the lifestyle. People that drink Red Bull Status, as a rule, kind of live on the edge. They like extreme sports. It's telling the story. It's speaking to that audience. So again, it's not enough to have a product. It's not enough to have a brand. You've got to have something that appeals to the specific market. We talked about what makes an effective ad. This goes back, we talked about a good way to track the way we've done it forever. How'd you hear about it? One of the first advertising or marketing seminars I ever attended, they talked about the ADA process. Has anyone ever heard this before? You might have been at the same one. Of course, you were only 12. I think they teach this. I did some guest speaking at Lancaster Bible College for their business class, and they were talking about ADA. Okay? And ADA is just a good foundation for all of your ads. Now, can I tell you that if you use this principle, your ads are going to be successful? No. Does it increase the odds? Yes. Can people point out to me that there are very, very good campaigns where they had advertising and it worked and it was beautiful and they didn't do this? Yes. What I'm going to tell you is, though, again, there are certain basic components in here that help make for a good ad. Number one, attention. Do you have something that grabs someone's attention? Who are you competing against when you're advertising nowadays? Everybody. How many ads are you exposed to in the course of a day? 10? 20? Hundreds. So you've got to do something to set yourself apart from the crowd and get someone's attention. And it may not appeal to everybody, but the idea is to get the attention of people that may be interested in your product. Second thing is interest. Okay, you got my attention, you need to draw me in a little bit closer. You stopped me, you got me to look, now I want to get a little bit more information. Desire. When I get that information, now I start thinking, you know, this is really something I'd like to have. Or this is something that can help me. Or this is what I've been looking for. And lastly, your ads should inspire an action. Was anyone at the last seminar the seminar we did on conversion-based marketing? In that we talk about how everything we're doing, we're trying to get people to take the next step, to make a conversion. And a conversion is different things to different people. There are simple conversions, there are big conversions. The ultimate conversion is what? You're going to buy what you have. And I'm going to stay in there and I'm going to keep buying what you have. I'm not going anywhere else because I love you. All right? That's what we're trying to do. But action. Let's get people to take the next step. Visit our website. Look here. Click on this. Fill out this form. Come to a seminar. That kind of thing. Here's an example of an ad that has the basic tenets of ADA. What grabs your attention? Me. The interest. How to build a lasting relationship. I told this story in we did this seminar for the chamber 2 weeks ago. I was reviewing my notes. I'm sitting there, I'm in my kitchen, looking at things. My kids are buzzing around, the dog's playing, my wife is walking back and forth. Didn't pay attention to anything I did the whole evening regarding this. She sees this and stops in her tracks. She goes, "What's that?" I said, "Oh, it's an ad, we're talking about ADA." She goes, "Oh, no, but what is it?" What caught her eye was the me. She started looking a little bit different. StrongerMarriage.org. If you want a stronger marriage, work on it together. She goes, "Well, that's kind of interesting, isn't it?" What am I going to say? Of course. "Chris, don't you want a stronger marriage?" Yes, of course I do. So there's 2 ways you can go with that. Any ideas? Way number 1 is, of course I do. What's way number 2? Oh, I couldn't imagine our marriage being any stronger. Right, very good. Way number 3, run from the room. Just get out. Don't stop, just get out, okay? So, the attention, me, the interest, how to build a lasting relationship. One of the things in fine print here that really catches your eye, cut on the dotted line and rotate it 120 degrees. What does me become? We. Because if you want a stronger marriage, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about we. Okay? Get your attention. Desire. If you want a stronger marriage, work on it together. Who doesn't want a stronger marriage? Even us that have the perfect marriage. Okay? And then the action. For tips, class incentives, resources in your area, click here, go to this site. Okay? All the basic components of a good ad. How successful is it? I don't know. I haven't really tracked this. I know it worked in my house. All right? We're looking at it together. All right? We. Now, when you talk, okay, here's an ad, here's some basic tenets to make a good ad. What types of ads should you do? Should you still do traditional advertising? And traditional advertising, TV, radio, print media, direct mail, should you still do it? Is there a place for it in today's digital society? I'm going to say quite possibly. I'm going to say for many people, yes. For many people, it works very, very well. It's a little different than it used to be. And one thing I caution everybody on, it cannot be the only part of your marketing. It can be a part of your marketing, a part of your advertising. The pros, you can reach a large audience. It does have a high perceived value. When you think about doing TV, do people sit up and pay attention? Oh, they must be pretty good, they're doing TV. Oh, there's a billboard, I saw them all over the billboards. It has a good shelf life, and it's a good way to reach a mass local audience. Okay? If you are business to consumer and you want to reach a lot of people and it's a pretty simple message and you're trying to get them to come to your restaurant, go to the ballpark, visit your store, it may be a very good way to go. The cons, it is starting to decline. The response rates are falling. It is harder to measure. You have to do more of the things that you talked about. Now, there's ways you can do it. You can set up a specific phone number, a call tracking number. You can have a specific landing page. There's ways to be a little bit more sophisticated about it. And generally, it's kind of expensive. Right? Who thinks that TV is cheap? Most of us do not have big TV budgets. Sorry, Derek didn't take it. But there's other ways that you guys are making great use of video. They're a lot more cost effective, a lot more economical, and they're more working. Okay? Now, traditional ads are great for branding, awareness, and they're aimed at a very wide audience. Okay, again, think billboards, radio, TV, things that are high profile. And many, many brands were built on traditional media. One of the things, and we talked about how they're a little bit different, nowadays, you can still do it and they're still effective, but one of the things you have to do is, you have to make it personalized. Because with so much digital marketing and there's automation out there, personalization stands out in the crowd. We talk about some direct mail. People ask us, is direct mail dead? Does it still work? Can we do it? And I say, absolutely, but it has to be done properly. Do you know the biggest segment of the population right now that's responding to direct mail? Millennials. Okay? Millennials. You know why? They've never gotten mail. Right? Think about it. If you were any millennials in the room, besides me, right? How do you do your banking? How do you communicate with people? When you do a love letter, do you write a love letter out anymore? We used to, okay? How many times and you don't get bills in the mail, it's all online. How many times have you gotten direct mail? Never. You open up that post, you open up the mailbox, and it's not for you, right? But in the last 3 months, 69% of millennials have responded to direct mail. But it has to be personalized. All right? If it comes in and it says, hey Megan, here's something for you, take a look at it, what are you going to do?
Probably throw it out unless somebody actually handwrote something on it.
Okay, so good. So it has to be really personalized. You're not falling for that crap because you know better, all right? But if it's handwritten, you might sit up and pay attention. But traditional advertising works, and it works if you're looking at a broad audience. If you're starting to target individuals, it should be personalized. Give you an example. Anyone ever heard of this brand? Would you say that they're successful? Would you say that they've reached a mature market, meaning they've gone pretty high? Coca-Cola was faced with a huge dilemma. Poor guys. We have sold so much Coke. Everybody knows about us. Everybody's buying us. There's Coke houses, there's Pepsi houses. When you go out, I hear people say this all the time. I heard it yesterday, right? I had lunch with Suzanne. You know what she said? They said, what would you like to drink? Oh, Coke or Pepsi. So people know it's either Coke or Pepsi. Those are the two things. But Coca-Cola, faced with how can we possibly sell more Coke? What are we going to do to sell more Coke? We've sold as much Coke as we possibly can. So what did they do? They started putting names on it. This is my son Michael's. He's getting ready to go to camp right now. He's going to be mad. He'll have to get over it. Okay? They put a name on it. And what were they looking to do? Were they just looking to sell a Coke to Michael? No. Share a Coke. So Michael isn't just going to buy one from Michael. I couldn't just buy a Michael Coca-Cola. I had to buy an Ella Coca-Cola. And then I had to find a Kathy Coca-Cola. And everybody, mostly in my house it's Coke Zero if we're going to drink Coke. And then if my daughter's along, oh, we need to get one for Allie. Allie's the dog. And Norman, we got to find one for Norman. So how do you sell more Coke when you've reached an unbelievable market, you've got unbelievable success? Make it personal. Put somebody's name on it. Coca-Cola turned this campaign into a 2% market share. Now, is 2% a lot?
Yes.
In Coke terms, it is. 200 million Cokes and counting. All right, now, they didn't just put a name on it, they did a full campaign. They reached out to social media. They did radio, TV. They hit it from all different angles, and it wasn't just, again, it wasn't just buy a Coke, it was share a Coke. Don't just buy one for yourself, buy one for your friend, and let's have it together. And you talk about consistency, you talk about unique message. When you read that, it doesn't matter whose name is on there. Is there any doubt that that's Coke? It's still Coke. Budweiser's taking flack because they put America on things. It still looks like Bud. And that can be, people call it mixed success, they call it a loser. But the loser made $100 million, so I'll take that kind of loss any day. Now, when we talk about personalization, does it have to be individual personalization? Because people think, well, I can't possibly personalize the 5,000 people in my email base. No. You can personalize by groups, by areas, by people that think alike or feel alike. I'll give you an example. If you're looking to reach your local audience, here is a company that put together something for their local audience. This is PEMCO Insurance. They're based in Seattle. Now, if you're an insurance company, people want to trust you. People want to relate to you. People want to feel like you're part of the community. They put something together where people in the Northwest consider themselves a little bit quirky. They like to recycle. They stay close together, and they like their differences. So they put together some things, and they went with TV, radio, billboards, print, and they went with Northwest Profile number 17, Obsessive Compulsive Recycling. Maybe that doesn't mean a whole lot here. It means a lot in the Northwest. Sandals and Socks Guys. Any of those in the room? And then Goat Renter Guy. That's got to be something that only local people can relate to. But it's a way that they related to a local audience without going individual personalization, but still brought people together. And it's exclusively local. And those people band together, and they are now, PEMCO Insurance is endeared in that community because they're just like them. They understand who we are, so they understand our needs. Derek.
Do you know, are they like an insurance company, like an agent that sells different brands of insurance, or are they like a Donegal or a Geico or a
Great
company
question.
that actually provides it?
Independent agencies.
They're independent agencies,
Yep.
so they're selling other people's insurance. They're
Yes.
just using this to connect with them.
Yep. And when you're doing that, that's the way that you go from being a commodity to setting yourself apart. Because if you're an independent agent and you're selling Donegal and Westfield and all the others, you can buy those products anywhere else. Well, what can't you buy anywhere else? The guy that sold it to you. So the only real difference is the service you're going to get from the people that sold it to you. That's why that became so important. They're buying from this company because they understand who we are. They can buy that same thing anywhere else, but it's how you set yourself apart when you're in a commodity industry. Okay, good question. Now, so that's traditional. Digital. Why digital? All right, pros. It's typically lower cost than traditional advertising. It's much easier to track because you get a lot of good analytics, a lot of good metrics with all types of digital advertising. You can target it. It's interactive. Cons. It can be a little bit more complicated depending on who you are. For some of the millennials, younger people, what do you mean complicated? It's the simplest thing there is. For some of us that have been not entrenched in it our whole lives, it is a little bit more complicated. It takes a little bit more study. But it's not that tough that everybody can't figure it out, okay? And it can become less personalized. If you just hook it up to a machine and it becomes over automation, thank you. That was tough. I didn't think I was going to get out of that one, okay? It can become less personalized. And what did we just get done saying? Try and personalize, try and engage whenever possible, okay? So, take a look at different types of digital advertising. Who advertises through a digital format? Okay. Can I ask, what do you do?
What do we do? We do paid specific Facebook ads.
Okay.
Email blasts. What else do we do? Just regular Facebook postings. on
Okay.
social media.
How's it working? Sorry to put you on the spot. Great. Well, and again, and that's a fair answer. Thank you.
We're just starting.
Just start. Good, good.
Yeah,
Good, good. So right now you're establishing a baseline.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Derek, what are you doing?
We do YouTube in-stream ads, and then we also do targeted Facebook ads for like segregated lists and stuff like that.
Okay, and you're an established business. You've been doing this for a while. How's it working?
Good. You know, you gotta track the results and find out what works and kind of shift your funds to what's working and turn off the ads that aren't working.
Great. Who else? Any others?
I have a question.
Yes.
You know, as I'm listening to this, I think you're right that is, you know, in the 1890s with, you know, the first branding ad, that lasted for over
Long
100
time.
years. Well, now, you know, when you ask a bit about, you know, Facebook and LinkedIn and all this other stuff, don't you think maybe that if that is now a requirement for every organization and business, like if you have it missing, everybody makes an assumption. But if you have it, I just feel so overwhelmed that now I'm feeling, I don't know if I'm seeing, but I'm feeling like businesses really have to be on top of their game if they want me to look at their Facebook page or their website or whatever. You know, when the Lancaster paper went digital, they were afraid to, if I understood what I was reading, actually, long story short, they were kind of afraid to not continue the paper portion because so many people love the ads, not necessarily the news, but these ads. So that was something that continued to get subscribers.
Yep.
So now I'm just wondering, you know, I might go to a website or a Facebook page for information, directions how to get someplace that I knew I already wanted to go. And I'm just interested in your comments about that. You know, just being saturated and
Yeah.
expectations of businesses and organizations to go above and beyond even now.
I completely agree, and that's why you have to be better than everyone else. You have to do it a little bit more effectively, you have to do it a little bit more targetedly, you have to be something that stands out. And would I say completely abandon the newspaper? I'm gonna say it depends on your clientele, depends on your target audience. But yeah, you have to be better. And what is it gonna be a year from now, 3 years from now? How is this gonna work? It's gonna be more of the same, again, more hyper-personalization. We're gonna talk, down the road, we're gonna talk about hyper-personalization, meaning an ad is gonna come for you. And it's gonna be geared toward what you like, where you live, what you do, what your preferences are. It's gonna take into account your buying cycle, your buying process, where you are in your life. So it's gonna continue to get more and more hyper-personal. So, but I agree, and that's also why you can't just do one thing. Yes.
I think in this area, one of the best things to have in an ad is a coupon.
This is a very, very coupon-rich area. Does everyone agree with that? I would agree too, for a couple of reasons. It's an incentive to do something, and it's trackable. To that though, I'm never a big fan of money off. I'm always a big fan of value added. Like, how does it, because I'm gonna go either way, how does it change my experience if I paid a couple dollars less? Maybe my expectations were a little less. I would rather get something extra. Meaning if I'm going to a restaurant, I'd rather get a free drink. Or I'd rather get a free appetizer or a free dessert because I've had a better experience doing that. So and that's why I recommend to our restaurant clients, I'm more likely to return based on my better experience. Do you remember whether you checked out your bill and you paid $70 or $80? But do you, see, I wouldn't. I'm hostage to my family. I would remember if I had a great dessert, or we had a wonderful appetizer, or I loved having that cup of coffee at the end, or they bought me a drink. I'd remember that more so. And everybody's different, but that's what I would remember.
Did you ever hear of hashtagging? Hashtagging?
Yes.
Has that been something that's becoming more of a favorite for most people, or?
It is for specific audiences and a larger audience all the time. So that is something, so yes, and some people are going to pay attention to that more than others, but it is part of it is a very good part of an effective strategy, again, depending on who your audience is and what your message is. So we can talk more about that. Probably best bet is after the meeting, talk with Adam. Okay. Not just because he's a young guy, but he's there first. Okay, so types of ads. Pay-per-click. When we talk about pay-per-click, right, there's two parts to it. There's either the search network or there's the display network. The search network is search engine results. You type something in and this is what popped up. The display network are banner ads that are across a bunch of different websites and just kind of show up. Let's start with search because that's what most people think of when they think of pay-per-click. When is pay-per-click effective? When people want it now. All right? It's fast, it's measurable, there's quick purchases. Give you an example. It's when someone's searching for X in Lancaster, they want something immediate. Give you an example. I got my air conditioner fixed not too long ago. They told me I needed a Schrader valve. Okay? They couldn't find one. And it's a $6 part. So I went online and I'm searching for a Schrader valve. Why am I searching for a Schrader valve? Is it just a fun, whimsical topic? Am I looking at just something I can play with the kids with? Or am I looking to buy something? Is my air conditioning not working? Yes, that's why I'm there. It works best when you're looking for something specific. And if someone's typing in specific words, they want that for a reason. So it generally is a better turnaround time. Right now, part of a longer term strategy, you should still do SEO, you still need great content, you still need to have it balanced, but pay-per-click works when you've got to sell it now, or you want someone to buy now. It's also better for either long-term value clients or high margin purchases. Reason I say that, average cost per click on Google Search Network is $2.32. Average cost per action or conversion, $59.18. So if you're selling flip-flops for $5 and it's $2 every time someone clicks on it and it takes a couple clicks to actually make a purchase, should you do pay-per-click for flip-flops? Probably not. If you're selling insurance, should you do it? If you're selling medical services, if you're a college, a university, you're trying to sell cable TV, something where there's long-term growth or big ticket, we work with a local car dealer that does a lot of business through pay-per-click in their cars. High margin, high profit, that's what you want to, that's generally what you want to use pay-per-click for. Not that it couldn't be used for other things, but traditionally that's what we think of when we think of pay-per-click. Who knows how pay-per-click works? The fundamentals of it is you pay X amount of dollars and someone searches for those words and they click on it, you're billed for that money. But does everybody know that it's not just who pays the most money that gets that click? Google tries to level the playing field. And I see some of you nodding your heads, yep. Google has what they call an ad auction, okay? And they look at an ad rank to determine who gets that click. And it's not just the highest dollar paid. There's a couple factors. What they look at is your quality score times your maximum bid. So you set a maximum bid saying, look, I'll take any clicks up to $4. So that's as high as I go. So they factor that in, and then they add it to your quality score. Now what your quality score is, it's your click-through rate, it's your landing page quality, it's relevant keywords in addition to the keywords that someone clicked on, and how relevant the text is around that ad. So when we talk to people about pay-per-click, we often, the first step for us is to do what? Let's clean up your website. Let's make sure you get the best website you can possibly have. Let's make sure we create a great landing page for this to go on. Otherwise, a couple things can happen, and you can waste money in a couple different ways. Number one, you could potentially have a lower ad rank if your site isn't as good as it could be, cost you more money to get a click. Number two, you could be missing conversions when people come to your site. What good is it to drive them to a site that isn't going to capture their attention or their information or make them take the next step? Here's an example, PPC done right. Someone searching for, pardon me if I step in front of this, someone searching for business heating oil. I'll try and look at this screen so I'm not in front of you. What do they find? Oil delivery for your business. Do you think that's relevant? If I'm searching for business heating oil, that's relevant. What else are they looking at? Same-day service. Someone types in bulk fuel, or I'm sorry, bulk fuel delivery. Right? Relevant? And why am I looking for this? I probably want to buy something. I probably am just not looking to see, oh, I wonder what business heating oil looks like. I probably have a need. Here's another one, oil heat alternatives. Ultra bio heat. Affordable clean burning choice. Don't switch, upgrade. Okay? All things that help with a relevant search. Okay? This is done right. Done wrong? Somebody typed in Ford Focus brakes, and so if I type in Ford Focus brakes, what do you think I want? Car brakes. And why do you think I want them? Because I'm texting while driving and I can't stop. Okay? What came up in the search? Drive a 2014 Mazda 3 today. If I want brakes for my Ford Focus, do I really care about Mazda 3? No. Money wasted. Okay? Because someone said this would be a good idea to do this.
Well, because the person's mad at Ford because the brakes went out, so
There you
they
go.
they might be willing to come and test drive the Mazda.
Could be. That's an idea. And if you crash and because you couldn't stop, you crashed your Ford, so there you go. Here's something else too. Bad search, not necessarily that far off the beaten path, but you're trying to entice people to do business with you when you do this too. You want to make it easy, you want to appear like you're someone they want to do business with. Here's someone typed in coaches and limousines. What came up right away? Not serving prom or school dancing. What does that tell you about the company?
They're mean.
They're mean, they're grumpy old bastards like me, okay? They're the guys saying, get off my lawn, okay? But is that warm? Is that welcoming? Is that someone you want to click on? Is that someone you potentially want to do business with? Maybe, maybe not. Some people may be attracted to that. Most people are turned off by that. Okay, display ads. Another way to do it is by putting out display ads, okay? When you do display ads, you're putting it across Google's network. How big is Google's network? Anybody, any guess? Yeah, 180 ad impressions per month. And that's Facebook, LinkedIn, and they also do display capabilities, but Google's the big player. 2 million sites, 90% of the global market. So can these be effective? Absolutely. But oftentimes when they're just display ads, they can be considered annoying. Okay? 33% of people find them annoying, don't like them, don't want anything to do with them. So it's a way to do business. I'll tell you what though. The average click-through rate is only 0.6%. Very, very low percentage. But it's 0.6% of what? It's 0.6% of 180 billion ad impressions. That's a lot of clicks. Who knows how many that is? 0.6% of 180 million. I have to take my shoes off to count that. Part of Paperclip, you can also do retargeting. 2 ways to do retargeting. There's pixel-based and list-based. Pixel-based is someone who's visited your site. Does everyone know how this works? Someone visits your site. A geek figured out a way to embed a little piece of software called a cookie. It's going to follow you around. You can now retarget or resend them an ad. List-based is people you already have in your database. It's your email addresses. It's why everyone says to you, oh my gosh, you need to capture as many email addresses as possible. I don't know a single client that we don't send that, we don't say that to. And if I ask all of you, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, who here has a great email list, a great email database? Good, a few of you. Congratulations. Who has a less than great email list? Okay, those of us that do. I'm going to tell you that probably the best thing you can do for your business, build your email list as best you can. And there's ways to do it. You can do contests, you can do promotions, but find a way to do it, because users that are retargeted are 70% more likely to convert than anyone else. So they're effective, they work. Native ads. This is a form of paid media where the ads look like content on your site. It's right in your newsfeed. Okay, it goes right in there, and this is one where it's not disruptive, it's not in your face. People are reading it, looking at it. In the old days, I think we called them, what is it, infomercials. It's sort of like that. And people aren't sure if it's an ad or it's just part of the feed. It's kind of like on your lawn, if you see a dandelion, is that a flower or is that a weed? It's in the eye of the beholder. Either way, it's less disruptive, so it's not like crabgrass. It's something that's there. Talk about sponsored posts. There are just your regular post, which just shows up and it's something that you posted. There is a sponsored post where you're promoting it to certain people and it says right in there sponsored. You go in there and like the page. And then there's Facebook ads, which are ads set up, definitely set up to try and get conversion. To talk about, it just shows that it's an ad, learn more, follow through. All are effective. It's a question of to what extent you want to go. When you do this too, we recommend to people to don't run things necessarily through just your promoted post, your ad manager where you just hit post now, set it up, work it, and you can set an ad schedule for this so it shows up when you want it to strategically. One of the reasons you do promoted posts, it's about relationship building. They should offer value and entertainment. It shouldn't be just in your face, buy from us, buy from us, buy from us. There's a reason that people on social media. What is that? I want to be sold. I'm going to go on social media, I want to be sold. And when you're on social media, you're competing for attention. All right? So you have to have enough interest for people to pay attention to. To your point, Marcia, too, there is so much competition, there are so many people trying to get your time and attention, you need to do something that is going to be different, educational, informative, something that makes me want to take a look at it, okay? Because again, you're not just competing with every other advertiser. What are you competing against when someone's on social media?
They're friends.
They're friends. What else? News. What else? Goofy cat videos. April the giraffe. Somebody getting hit in the head. I mean, just anything. So you're competing with everything when you're on there. You have to show genuine value for people to pay attention to you. One thing too, don't just advertise cobwebs. When you're promoting posts, make sure you've already got a strong presence. Make sure if people do look at what you're doing, it's something valuable. It looks good. It tells a story about who you are. All right? Visual content is very, very important on social media. It is definitely a very, very visual medium. Ways to help with that, when you talk about promoted posts, again, make it visual. There's a reason it's picture-based. Who thinks video is a good thing to have on here? Okay? Great. Ask questions. Offer expert information. Again, people want to be entertained, people want to be educated, people want to understand why I should pay attention to you versus anyone else. Hold a contest. People ask the best way to gather your email database, have a contest. Give something away. Give away an Alexa. Something a little bit interesting. Share inspirations, make a special offer, maybe you share a personal story. People want to do business and people will follow people they can relate to. And celebrate your customers. Celebrate your customers' successes. It shouldn't just be buy from us, buy from us, buy from us. It has to be something that's interesting. People see right through self-promotion, especially on social media. What not to do? A couple examples. Just a boring picture just in the middle of nothing. It's, the copy is confusing. It's wasting copy space with unclear messaging. I think the message is, sorry, I'm trying not to get in front of you. It talks about variable rates. And this one talks about some restrictions apply. There's dull visuals, it's confusing copy, it's unclear. Make sure if you're doing it, it makes sense, it's clear, nothing's confusing. It should be very, very cut and dry. So, advertising, bringing it together. Okay, we talked about a couple different mediums, we talked about what could be good ads, we talked about some things to avoid. Remember that when you're doing this, again, it is the age of integration. People want to get their information in the manner that they want to get it in, when they want to get it, in a message that they understand. Because people gather, consume, and disseminate information all a little bit differently. We all have a way that we like to take information in. There's different messages. We understand it differently depending on who we are and what our life experiences are. Use a mix of tactics. Just don't do one or two things. Mix it up for your audience and make sure that your message is consistent across all platforms. Again, the method is unique. The message is always the same. The core message is the same. Do you have a question, Caleb?
No, I was
Just wave it out. How's it going, Caleb? Give me an example of a good integrated strategy. Has anyone ever heard of Small Business Saturday? It started out as American Express had this idea, let's see if we can get some people to buy more stuff on an American Express card. So, and that's what they did. I mean, so they launched Small Business Saturday. They thought, all right, we know the small business community, they're not doing as much American Express as we'd like, so let's put something together for them. They launched a campaign, and it was a national campaign. They used TV, radio, they used millions of likes with a Twitter hashtag. They did a PR campaign. They included media, government, local communities. They provided logos, posters. They set up all the small businesses. And it went from this little campaign to now it's in all 50 states, and 95 million people are now shopping on Small Business Saturday. It was something that was a good idea. What would have happened if all they did was put that in some local papers? What would have happened if they just put it on TV? Or they just did radio? Would it have been successful? Maybe, but they covered all their bases. They sought out every media channel that they could possibly do, and it just took off. Groundswell. Marcia.
You know, I remember when they first rolled that out, I had an American Express card, and they gave everybody, all of their card holders, $10 or something.
Yeah?
You know, that first year. No, they didn't continue that, but
Right, not with 95 million people.
Right. So I just wondered, do you know how successful that was specifically for American
With the
Express?
$10, I don't.
Well, I mean, just the whole campaign, because
Campaign.
for American Express.
Yeah, how it related to them,
Yeah.
I don't. I know that, and probably it went past them, but I know that they are still supplying all the shops with the information, all the logos, all things like that.
Well, what would be their goal? Their goal would be to get more small merchants to sign up to take Amex.
Right.
Well, I would hope so, because they don't, it used to be that merchants would tell me they thought the costs to participate with American Express was so much higher. But then I heard several years ago that American Express reduced those to be more competitive.
Right, they had to. Yeah, they're trying, because they were losing share every day. So they're trying to be more competitive, trying to be more merchant focused, hence that. And can I tell you specifically where they are? No, I can't. Probably a good lesson, or a good
Well, it certainly benefited,
a good exercise for our research team. Okay.
well, it certainly benefited so many other folks and
Sure.
organizations not
Right.
connected with.
And don't think that American Express doesn't remind small businesses about that. Every time they send them a media kit and logos, posters, they send them digital, they're reminding the local businesses about that.
Well, and if you think about it as a branding campaign as well, you mentioned the fact that small businesses were often wary of American Express
Right.
because of the perception that their fees were higher. So if they've changed that, in order to help get the word out about, oh, American Express is very small business friendly, so many people know about Small Business Saturday and have that
Right.
relationship between that and American Express, that all of a sudden, it's like, well, we might not even know what the fees are, but all of a sudden, there's this perception that, oh, yeah, American Express is really small business friendly.
But do you think that's true now? Do you think it has become such a tradition now? if
Has
you
it
will?
grown beyond American
Yes.
Express? To some consumers, yes, but their goal wasn't to get more consumers to do American Express, it was to get more small businesses to accept American Express. And yes, I think that was successful.
Okay.
And so now they can say, look, don't tell me I'm American Express and I don't care about small businesses. I brought 95 million people to your businesses in a day. So I think yes, but I get your point. Okay. Something people ask all the time, how much advertising should you do? What should my spend be? Has anyone ever asked that question of themselves? Do you sit in a boardroom every year or meet with an owner and you talk about what are we going to set aside, what are we going to do? Or do you yourself in your business decide what are we going to spend for advertising? Across the board, the Small Business Administration recommends 7 to 8% of your gross revenue for advertising and marketing. Okay? Here's the thing. That is a good general statement, but is it an end-all be-all formula? No. What factors into that? How much competition do you have? What's your goal for growth? What did you do in years past? What's the competition doing with what they're spending? Is it something where you're just trying to maintain what you did last year? Is business starting to slip? Are there different conditions in the market? So there's a lot of variables that go into that. So you can't just use the 7, 8%. Some businesses are spending 20 to 25% to maintain or to grow. It just depends. Everyone's a little bit different and every situation is different, but a good measuring stick or a good starting place, I think 7, 8%. And one other thing we talk about too, you manage, you control what you measure. Ways to measure, you talk about digital media, we talk about split testing, you look at your reach, you look at your click-through rate, your social reactions, conversions. It's not just how much money went in the cash register, it's how many people did we affect and what did we do to make a conversion. With traditional, it's unique offers, a unique URL, a landing page, a coupon code. So yes, we're fans of coupons as well. A trackable phone number, and to your point, how'd you hear about us? It all works. And if you're not tracking it, how do you know if it's working? And how do you know what you can perhaps do better? Here's an example. We're fans of split testing. This is an ad we did for one of our clients at Millwood Furniture. We put this together, we were putting it out there, and we know we were getting traction. We know people were clicking on this. We know we were getting conversions. But we also know that maybe we could do it better. Maybe there's ways to improve it. How do we know that? Did a little split testing. Okay? Do we have this backwards?
It actually is, believe it or not, an ad without text on it will generally perform better, and that is what we found.
Right. So, thank you, Kelly. I was doing that for suspense. No, I really wasn't. I'm going, what? So, we first ran it with this. Thank you very much for getting me back on point. Not an easy thing to do. So, we wondered, is this as good as it can get? We started running the ad without that, and we started to see a 20% increase in click-through rates. So, how do you know if it works? You track it. How do you know if it could work better? You split test it. You can leave well enough alone, or you can tweak well enough and see if you get better results. The good news with a pay-per-click campaign too, you'll know quickly.